The heavy glass doors of the grand supermarket hissed open, letting in a gust of cold, biting wind that seemed to chase the customers down the aisles. To anyone watching, the man who stepped inside was just another shopper looking for a bargain to survive the winter. He wore a faded baseball cap pulled low, an oversized, salt-stained jacket, and jeans that had seen better days. His name was Arthur Sterling, and in the world of high finance, he was a giant. The CEO of a multi-billion-dollar retail empire with thousands of locations across the globe. But today, he wasn't here to sign multi-million-dollar contracts or analyze profit margins in a boardroom. He was here because he felt he had lost his soul. Arthur walked slowly through the aisles of his own store, his eyes scanning much more than just the prices on the shelves. He noticed the small things his regional managers usually hid from him. The flickering fluorescent lights that hadn't been replaced, the dusty corners of the organic section, and the general air of heavy exhaustion that seemed to hang over the staff like a fog. It had been nearly 20 years since he had stood on a shop floor as a worker, and the disconnect he felt now was like a physical weight in his chest. He felt like a stranger in his own kingdom. As he approached the checkout counters, he saw her. At register 7, a young woman named Sarah was scanning groceries with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. She was barely 24, her hair pulled back in a neat but tight bun, and her blue uniform vest looked 2 sizes too large for her thin, frail frame. What caught Arthur's attention wasn't her efficiency, though she was fast, but the fact that her eyes were red and swollen. She was crying silently, the tears tracing invisible paths through the light dusting of freckles on her cheeks. Every few seconds, she would blink rapidly, trying to clear her vision so she could see the barcode scanner. Arthur joined her line, pretending to be deeply interested in a simple loaf of bread and a carton of milk. He watched the interaction ahead of him. A middle-aged man was snapping at Sarah because a digital coupon wouldn't register on the screen. "I'm so sorry, sir," Sarah whispered, her voice cracking like dry glass. "The system is a bit slow today. Let me try that again for you manually. Hurry up. Some of us have actual lives and places to be." The man spat, his voice echoing loudly. "I don't have all day to watch you cry over a bag of potatoes." Sarah didn't argue. She didn't snap back or defend herself. She simply wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, apologized again, and finished the transaction with a shaky, heartbreakingly polite smile. When it was finally Arthur's turn, he placed his 2 items on the belt and looked her directly in the eyes, trying to see the person behind the uniform. "It's a long shift, isn't it?" he asked, his voice low and gentle. Sarah jumped slightly, startled by the unexpected kindness in a stranger's voice. "Yes, sir. It's been a very long day. I apologize if I'm being slow. Is everything okay? You seem to be carrying a lot on your shoulders." Arthur pressed, ignoring the impatient person huffing behind him. Before she could answer, a dark shadow fell over the counter. A man in a crisp white shirt with his store manager badge pinned to his chest, Marcus, stepped forward. "Sarah, why is this line backed up? And why is your face a mess?" Marcus barked. "If you can't handle the pressure of a Saturday afternoon, there are 50 people at the local employment office who would kill for this vest. They won't spend their shift weeping over the produce. Get it together, or consider this your last day. I'm tired of the drama." Sarah flinched as if she had been physically struck. "I'm sorry, Marcus. I don't want your excuses, and I don't want your tears. I want results. Now move." Marcus turned on his heel and walked away, his polished shoes clicking loudly on the linoleum floor. Arthur felt a slow, burning anger rise in his throat, a type of rage he hadn't felt in decades. He finished his purchase in silence, but instead of leaving, he moved to a quiet corner of the store near the employee break room. He waited for nearly an hour, watching the clock. Finally, Sarah came out for her 10-minute break. She didn't go to the break room where there were other people. She went to the loading dock at the back of the store. She sat on a wooden crate, her head in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably now that she thought she was alone. Arthur stepped out from behind a stack of pallets. He shouldn't speak to anyone that way, especially not someone as hardworking as you. Sarah looked up, her face pale in the dim light of the warehouse. "Oh, it's you again. Please, sir, You shouldn't be back here. If Marcus sees you talking to me, he'll fire me on the spot. I desperately need this job." Arthur sat on a crate beside her, his multi-thousand-dollar watch tucked deep into his pocket. "Why do you need it so badly that you'll let a man like that break your spirit?" The floodgates opened. For the next 15 minutes, Sarah poured out her heart to a man she thought was just a struggling shopper. She told him about her younger brother, Leo, who was only 10 years old and battling a rare respiratory condition. She told him about the mountain of medical bills, the rising rent on their tiny apartment, and how she was working 3 different jobs just to keep the lights on. She spoke about her dreams of becoming a pediatric nurse so she could help kids like her brother, but those dreams were currently buried under the weight of debt and fear. "Marcus knows I can't quit," she whispered, wiping a fresh tear. "He uses that. He makes me work unpaid hours and threatens to report me for insubordination if I complain. I'm just a number to this company." Arthur listened to every word, his heart breaking. He saw in Sarah the same fierce light his own mother had, a woman who had worked 3 cleaning jobs to put him through school. He realized that while he was sitting in his ivory tower looking at spreadsheets, people like Sarah were the ones actually carrying his company on their backs. The next morning, the store was transformed. A fleet of black sedans pulled into the parking lot, and the regional directors were scurrying around in a state of absolute panic. Marcus was standing at the entrance, his shoes polished to a mirror shine, a fake, oily smile plastered on his face as he waited for the big arrival. Arthur Sterling stepped out of the lead car. He wasn't wearing the cap or the old jacket anymore. He wore a tailored charcoal suit that commanded the attention of everyone in the room. He looked powerful, cold, and focused. Marcus rushed forward, bowing slightly. "Mr. Sterling, what an unexpected honor. If I had known the CEO was visiting, I would have prepared a formal reception." Arthur didn't take his hand. He didn't even look at him. He walked straight through the store, past the nervous employees, until he reached Register 7. Sarah was there, looking pale and terrified. She didn't recognize him at first, not until he removed his sunglasses and smiled the same gentle smile from the day before. "Hello again, Sarah," Arthur said, his voice echoing through the now silent store. Sarah's eyes went wide. She looked at his suit, then his face, then back at the suit. "You, the man with the bread? You're Mr. Sterling?" Arthur turned his gaze to Marcus, who had followed him and was now sweating so much his collar was soaked. "Marcus, I spent yesterday afternoon here as a customer. I saw how you treat your staff. I saw the fear in their eyes. I saw how you bully the very people who make this company profitable while you sit in your office and cook the books on overtime pay." Marcus's face went from white to a sickly shade of gray. "Sir, you don't understand the pressure of this location. I was just trying to maintain discipline." "You weren't maintaining discipline. You were destroying souls," Arthur interrupted, his voice like ice. "You're fired, Marcus. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out of this building within the next 5 minutes, and our corporate legal team will be conducting a full audit of your management history." The store employees, who had gathered around, began to whisper in shock. Arthur turned back to Sarah, who was trembling, but this time, it wasn't from fear or exhaustion. "Sarah," Arthur said, loud enough for every employee and customer to hear, "this company is opening a new employee advocacy and community outreach division. We need a director who understands empathy, someone who knows that people are not just numbers on a balance sheet. I want you to head that division." He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "Your new salary will be 5 times what you're making now. The company will also take full responsibility for your brother Leo's medical expenses, and we've already contacted the best specialists in the country. Your only job now is to make sure no one in this company ever has to cry at a register again." Sarah burst into tears, but this time, they were tears of pure, overwhelming joy. She tried to find the words to thank him, but Arthur simply took her hand and gave it a reassuring squeeze. "Don't thank me, Sarah," he said. "Thank you for reminding me that the heart of this company isn't in the boardroom. It's right here, in the aisles." As Arthur walked out of the store and toward his car, he felt a lightness in his chest he hadn't felt in years. He realized that the greatest profit he ever made wasn't measured in dollars, but in the restored dignity of a girl who had once been invisible to him.